All right. So let's start, inshallah. This is the second lesson, and the title of this lesson is basically we're going to go into some basics of the Arabic language, and we're going to start also on the isim, which is the noun that we talked about the last lesson. So I'm going to share my screen, and we'll start with a recap. Okay, so this is always a good time to kind of remember what we did last time. So if you can see my screen there, it should show you some words. You guys see that? All right, so let's do a bit of practice here. So there are three kinds of words in Arabic, right? And if they remember what those three kinds of words are again from the last lesson?
Yes.
Who knows? Go ahead, Sister
Ism,
Fauja. Yeah,
there's
isim and
preposition harf.
harf and
Fi'l,
fi'l.
fi,
Okay,
fi'l.
good. Isim, harf, and fi'l. So isim is nouns, right? Harf is a preposition, basically words that don't, make any sense until you add something to it. And fi'l are verbs, action words, in other words. Oh, mashallah, Alice here. All right, go well. All right, good that you could join us, alhamdulillah. So just do a bit of practice here. Who would like to take this up? These are some words. We were recapping what we learned last time. So which one is isim? Which one is harf? Which one is fi'l? Okay, so starting with this one, this is the practice. So table, who would like to say? Go ahead, just say it out. We've got it.
Noun is.
Isim, right? Isim. Don't say noun. It's isim.
Sorry.
Okay. Okay. Somebody else for Duluth.
Isim.
Jumps. Somebody else other than Fauzia and my wife. What is it going to be? Which kind of word is that? Jumps. Anyone?
Yeah.
My wife is cheating. She knows that's فعل. Get فعل, meaning that's the action word. Jumps. What about jumped? Any difference from the previous one?
No, it's also fail.
Also فعل. Very good. So jumps, of course, is present. Jump is the past, right? Right. What about off?
Harf.
Harf. Very good. Wall.
Fail.
Huh?
Isim.
Is it isim or فعل? Or harf?
It's not harf, definitely.
Yeah.
Um,
Isim.
Isim. Why is it isim?
An idea.
It's an idea. Very good. My wife is getting on to this. So it's an isim because it's an idea. Remember, names of things, animals, people, those things are ideas. Those are isms, right? We're doing a practice, Brother Lamin. All right. So loudly. Loudly. This is a little tricky, this one. Which one is this one? Loudly. Who can answer this one? Which one is it? Is it isim, harf, or fi'lin?
it's noun.
It's a noun. Yes, it's an isim also, right? It's an isim.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So anything that names something is an isim, is a noun. And anything that when you name a quality, right? A quality or sifa is called. When you name a quality, that's also an isim. So loudly is, when somebody speaks loudly, for example. So you are describing how that person speaks, right? So when you're describing something, the quality of something, that's an isim in Arabic. Okay. Now in English, it's not. It's not a noun in English. In English, it's called an adverb in English because it describes how somebody speaks. It describes a verb. So there's a little difference between English and Arabic. Right? All right. From.
Harf.
Harf. Cried.
Fail.
Fi'lin, very good. Slept.
Fail.
Fi'lin. And nicely.
Is.
Also isim, right? Very good. All right. So just a quick recap on what we did last time. Very good. So, okay, so what I thought we'd do, here are some things that I thought would be useful for a lot of people, especially people who are not native Arabic speakers. Al and Abdurrahman, can you help us out here? So the problem with non-native speakers is that because they pick up from their culture, from their language, from their teachers, and what happens is that they don't pronounce the words properly. So I'm going to go through this very quickly because I think most of you are familiar with this, but I think it's worth noting this before we go on to more, more interesting topics. So the first thing that we need to do is to be able to pronounce the letter and the words properly. So there's a site here that I recommend. I looked at it over. It's really good. It shows you how to pronounce the Arabic word properly using your tongue and the sealing of your mouth. Everything is really good. Here's another one, kind of similar as well. So I'm going to post this online, inshallah, once we're done. But you can check it out, inshallah. So, for example, just to give you an example here, a lot of people, Muslims, for example, they can't pronounce the letter Dhal properly. They will say Zal. Okay, so they will say Z. So this is very common. Okay, so we got to fix that one. That's very important because it makes a big difference when you say Dhal as opposed to Zal. Okay? So when you say Zal, that's a different letter, and it changes the word. So Dhal is a very common. Another one is Dad. This letter is very commonly mispronounced. So there is no equivalent in English. At least in Dhal, the English equivalent is when you say then in English, right? When you say then, or when you say that's Dhal. That's basically Dhal. So whenever you say the, or you say then, right? That's how you pronounce Dhal. Exact same way. Now, Dad, there is no English equivalent. So a lot of people, for example, they'll pronounce this as when you say Waladhalin, they will say Walazalin. They will say that, for example, right? And that's not right. So we got to fix that one. So
Brother D, can I ask, Assalamu alaikum?
yeah,
So with dal,
mhm,
with a nukta,
right.
so we say, so in Urdu we say zal, so we
Mhm,
say dal and zal. So
right.
what's the difference between the sound of dal, the one
Mhm.
without the nukta, and
Uh-huh.
this dal with a nukta?
Okay, so there's several similar letters, right? So you've got the za, which is as in zoo, right? The English z, right? You got za, and then you got dal, okay? Dal, which is the same as the English d. Okay, so z English equivalent, d English equivalent, okay? And then dhal. So the difference from dal and dhal, if you see my mouth, difference between dal and dhal is you stick your tongue out between your teeth. You stick your tongue out between your teeth and then lightly say it. Don't emphasize it too much. And say dhal. Okay. Now,
Okay.
our Arabic teachers here can help. Go ahead, Abdurrahman and Al. Abdurrahman, Al, help us out here with the pronunciation.
Yes, Brother Nick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Was Dhal,
Uh-huh.
and the other one is Dad,
Right.
and the other
How
one
would you
is
correctly say
Za.
it?
What?
Yeah.
So the first one is Dhal, the same way as you say then or that. Mhm. The other one is Dad. So
Now, how do you
yeah,
say bod, for example? What's the now? Here's how the site I mentioned to you earlier. Here's how they describe it. To say bod, you
yes.
press your whole tongue. You press your whole tongue to the ceiling of in your mouth.
Yes.
Okay. And when you press the whole tongue, you're pressing the sides of the tongue, not the front of the tongue. So imagine that. The sides of the tongue, press it to the ceiling of your mouth, and then say da.
Mhm.
Da. So it's dalin, for example.
Mm.
Not
How
zalin. That's not how you say it.
how about we give everybody a shot so they can give
Yeah.
it a try?
Yeah, why do everybody give it a try? That's a good idea. Brother Rish, you want to try?
It's waladhalin.
Well, da, yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah,
Mm.
exactly.
Right.
Yeah, Sister Hina.
Yeah, waladhalin.
There we go. Yeah, everybody's
Yeah.
got that. Yeah. Anybody else want to try? Fauzia?
Walad Pauline.
Yeah. So try to press it because well, you don't want it to say dal, for example, right? So da is a stronger version, obviously, of the let me just hang on, let me use this
Mhm.
the stronger version of what do you call it?
Dal.
Dal, right?
Yes.
So don't say dal, don't say waladhalin because that's too light, right? So you must say walau, press it, waladhalin. So it's stronger. Yeah, so that's what you say. All right. So the next one that most people are confused about is this one here, which is dha. Okay. So this is the expressive version of dal. Dal is the light version. Dha is when, and I haven't seen how the site describes it. I'm guessing it's you puff up your cheeks a little bit, press, you don't press it against the ceiling, but you say dha. So it's volume, like in volume, and it's not zalim. So most people will pronounce it as wala zalimin, for example. That is not how you pronounce it. So it's wala zalimin, for example. So who's gonna try? Down let's see. You want to go back again to Brother Arish?
I'm still not clear on this aspect.
Okay, so this is the va letter, right? This is the letter va.
Dha.
I wish I saw the site how they described it, but it's a very expressive version of the is very light, but this is va. Now maybe of the Abraham L, you want to try L, brother L? Help us out here on Mahfuz with va. How would you say it properly?
I mean, you really push like wala. Can you see me?
Yes.
But see, but you put your tongue on your teeth, and you, like you said, you kind of puff your cheek. Wala, like wala, wala.
That's the da. We're talking about this one, brother L. The.
Bah.
Yeah. The is
Oh, yeah.
supposed to bod, right?
Yeah. But it's again, you push your tongue against your teeth and so it. But like, for example, dhulm, which is
Yeah.
dhul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mahfuz, you want to help out? Any tips for the? How do you position your tongue and mouth to do the?
I think this is a unique Arabic. That's why they call the Arabic language language of Ba,
Yeah.
because it's unique for Arabic.
Yes. You were saying something, brother Mahfuz?
You say dad or the?
We're talking about this one, yeah, this one. The.
That's like, I don't know, feels like you're biting your tongue or something.
Brother, you cannot say I don't know, you're a teacher here.
Okay, I think when you bite, it's like biting your tongue in a way. Va. Not really, but you.
That's a good idea. You can bite your tongue a little bit. Va.
Yeah.
Yeah. Va. And then puff up your cheeks a little bit. Va. Okay.
But like
Okay.
we said, you push your tongue against your teeth, like Da, if you can see me. Da.
Va.
Yeah, I think if you guys can see me, you take your
Yeah.
tongue and put it in between your teeth lightly.
Wow.
Hey, and then kind of pull your tongue slowly down, and by using the letter za, like the.
Mm.
The.
But it's not
If that
dal,
makes-
it's va, right?
No, with the what's the name of it again? Thing on top of it.
Dal?
Are you talking about the second one?
You're talking about this one now.
Oh yeah, the okay. The.
Yeah. Okay, so here's another. Okay, so everybody can kind of practice in your own time, because obviously this lesson is not for pronunciation, right? So we'll just go on to a few more. Just one more. Another difference is between ha and ha. I don't know if you can hear me, the difference here, right? When you say Ar-Rahman, it's ra. It's Ar-Rah, ha, ha. So the difference between ha and ha is ha, the wind goes above your tongue, and it's like a whispering, a whisper over your tongue. It says ha, ha. Whereas this one, the ha comes in your chest, comes from your chest. So that's the difference. So ha, as opposed to ha. So Halim, for example, is not Halim, it's Halim. Okay.
Halim.
So that's the difference between the two. So these two makes the difference when you're pronouncing the words, inshallah.
That's a perfect description. Like, the mouth movement is almost the same, but the ha comes from the mouth. The ha comes from below, from your throat.
Right, from your throat and from your chest, yes. The
Yeah,
ha, this one comes from your throat and chest. MashaAllah. Okay, of course, everybody knows this kha. Kha, make sure that it's the vibration is in your throat. Kha. Okay. So these are kind of the letters that a lot of people get them confused, and we have to correct this when we're reading. And when you practice, inshallah, it'll get better and better as we go through, inshallah.
Brother Nick, I have one more letter to ask. So when alif, ba, ta, tha, when you, what's the because it's
Okay.
it's sa. So
Yes,
I want
correct,
to
correct.
learn
Very
the
good, very good, very
pronunciation
good.
of tha.
Very good, very good. So difference between tha, which is the letter. Let me change this here. And so what Sister Hina was talking about there, you guys can see this, right? Is the letter tha, okay? As opposed to sa. Okay, so the sin, the sa, or the sin, letter sin, is the equivalent of the S in English. Exactly. Is basically the letter S in English. Whereas this one, let me just write it down here. Let's see if I can type it here. There we go. There's a tha there, right? So this one is pronounced. Let me write down the sin first. Okay, so the difference between the so this one is pronounced tha, whereas this one is pronounced sa, as in English, right? So that's the difference. So when you say thalatha, 3, okay, thalatha, that's tha. Okay, when you say yasin, that's sa. Okay, these are the two different ways of saying. Is that okay, Sister Hina?
So the sound of ta, the one with 2 nuktas, is ta, and the one with 3 nuktas is tha.
That's a different
Yeah,
one. Okay.
she's
You're talking
asking
about this
between
one. Okay,
ta
so that's
and
different.
tha.
Yeah. So they're talking about this one here. So this is the same as a T.
Okay.
Okay. So this one is the same as the T. So that's a ta. So the three dots there is a tha. And that's the difference. So you got the ta, which is, and when you say ta, you say it very lightly, very softly. Ta, right? And when you say tha, it's the tha, tha. And of course, this is sa. So these are the differences. Very good.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So let's go on to a few more things that you have to be familiar with. Okay. So the next thing you have to be familiar with is something called lam alif. You've probably seen this already, so I won't bother you with that. The other one that you have to be familiar with is the ta. There's two kinds of ta in Arabic. So you've got the ta that we talked about just now, which is this ta, right? That's the ta here. That's the ta. And then there's a ta marbuta, which is this thing here. See that? So that is this. Okay. So it's not the same. So, but it sounds the same and is used in different ways. So the ta is used a different way from this ta, but they sound exactly the same. It's also ta, but it's called ta marbuta. So you just note that when we go. And then we've got the hamza, of course, which everybody knows. If you have a question, just go ahead and ask it. Yeah, El.
I think marbuta is when it comes at the end of the word.
That's right. That's right. So
Sometimes,
ta
not
marbuta is
always.
always at the end of the
Yeah.
word. Okay?
Yeah, but it could be marbuta or maftuha at the end, depending
That's
on the word or the sentence.
Mhm.
But it's always,
Okay.
this one is always at the end.
This one is at the end. Okay. So, okay, the other one is the hamza. We know that. Then I want to introduce you all to the 3 vowel sounds. Remember, how many vowels does Arabic have? How many vowels? English has A, E, I, O, U, right? Which is 5. A, E, I, O, U. Arabic has how many? Only 3, right? Only 3. And the names, I want you to be familiar with the names. So the names are Fatha, okay, Fatha, which is the A sound. Oop, hang on, let me change this for a minute. Fatha, which is the A sound, okay? And then we have the Kasra, which is the E sound, okay? E, Kasra, so A, E, and Dhamma, which is the U sound. So these are the 3 vowels in Arabic. That's it. Yeah, so you remember that when we are reading, inshallah. And then there's something called tanween. Okay, there's something called
I think, Nick, if you, show them in a letter like the ha and fatha, the sign
Right.
is right on top. That's what the fatha is.
That's right. I can do that, inshallah. So,
Yeah.
for example, if I want to write ba, right? And then I add the fatha on top of it, and it becomes, that's the ba, right? And of course, ba with a kasra is this one, okay? Ba with the kasra. Actually, I should be closer to the ba there. And then the u, of course, is the boo, okay? And that's the boo. Right there. So that should be, I think everybody knows this. I think most Muslims, I think, are familiar with this. If you're not familiar, tell us, inshallah. So that's ba, bi, bu, right? So a, e, fatha, kasra, e, and dhamma. That's what they're called. So when I say that has a fatha, that has a kasra, that has a dhamma, that's what I'm talking about. So get familiar with the actual names of the vowels. Okay. So these vowels actually have names. All right. When you double those vowels, they're called tanween. Okay. Now, what do you mean by tanween? Well, tanween is comes from the word noon there. So when you make the noon sound in the vowel. So for example, when you say ba, and then you have an, right? That's a ban. And when you say B, which is kasra, but then you say bin. So this in is called tanween. Okay, it's called tanween. You can write it down. And what does tanween mean? It makes the noon sound, right? And in at the end, and of course, bun, right? Which is the when you have 2 dhammas, right? So the doubling of the vowels, if you will, the noon goes into the sound. So it's called tanween. Okay? So these are some of the terms that you kind of get used to when you start learning the language. What's another one? Another one is the shadda. Okay, the shadda. So this one is doubling or the noon of the vowels. This one is doubling of the consonants of the letters itself. Okay, So, for example, somebody give me, the Arabic teachers here, somebody give me a good shadda I can use here. What's a good example of a shadda? Well, actually, this is a good example of a shadda.
So
Yeah. So this one, okay, the dal, you see that the dal has a symbol, which is the shadda symbol. So the shadda symbol is this symbol.
W.
This symbol here, right? You can't see that very well, but let me just, there we go. So the shadda symbol is the little teeth symbol there, right? Which is this symbol. So the shadda, okay? So when the shadda is used, what happens is that the consonant means the letter, right, is double. So you don't say shadda, you say shadda, right? It's doubled. So you can imagine one way, some people imagine it like you have two dials, right? It's like you have two dials. One dial and another dial, right? And then one of the dials is like one has a fathah. There's one way of saying, one way of imagining it is that this one has a fathah on top of it, and the next one has a sukoon on top of it. Okay, so it's like that. So shadda, you see that? So it's like a sukoon, and this is called a sukoon. This is another word that you may be familiar with. Sukoon. Oops, that's English. Sukoon in English. Okay, let me try that again. Okay, so sukoon is the name of how it's pronounced. So this sukoon, as you know, all the you read the Quran, so you know what I'm talking about. Sukoon is when the vowel is not there, so it doesn't make a sound, but it makes the sound of the consonant, right? So shadda. So that's how you pronounce this. You the shadda. Any questions about that so far? Before we go to Hamzatul Wasl and Hamzatul Qat. Any questions about that?
Brother Nick, can you please again elaborate on sukoon?
Sukoon? Okay. So the sukoon is the way to, what's the good way to describe sukoon, brothers, the teachers, Arabic teachers here? What's a good way to describe sukoon? So I'm trying to figure out a good word for sukoon here.
I think sukoon, you can think about it as a constant. It doesn't move. It's like harakat means movement. Sukoon means no movement. So if you say ha, he, who, then there's like a constant. It's not changing.
That's a good way of saying it. So for example, when you say, when you read the word like this one, for example, right? You say ka, you are moving, ka, right? But then when you put the sukoon on top of this letter here, sin, for example, right? This letter has this letter sin has a sukoon on top of it. So it doesn't become, you don't move from ka to sa, it stops. Sukoon literally means to stop. Okay. So when you say, so when it gets to the sin, it doesn't make that harakah, it doesn't make that movement, the vowel movement. It stops there, so it becomes kas. Right? So that's what sukoon does. It stops the sound of the letter. It's basically what I think sukoon literally means. That's probably a good description of it, right? It stops the letter of the vowel or the sound of the letter. I think it's probably a good way of describing it. Yeah. So is that okay? Is that positive?
Yes.
Okay. So for example, same here. Fa is a movement, fa, right? And then the ta is a sukoon, so it stops there. Fat. Yeah, fat. And then another movement, harakat. Harakat, the vowels are called harakat. Okay, vowels are called harakat because why? They move the sound. So fatha, fathatun, for example, right? So that's how it's done. Very good. Okay, one more thing that we need to be familiar with when we come across Arabic is the different hamzas. Okay, the different hamzas. All right. So let me find some examples here. I think it's probably best to find examples. Hang on a minute. Okay, so Hamza, everybody know what Hamza is, right? Hamza is this letter here. Let's see if I can find it here. Okay, is that letter Hamza, right? Everybody got that? So let me just write it in. So Hamza, that letter has a sound, right? And the sound is a, right? As in when you say and let me find a word here. So when the letter Hamza has a sound, right? It's called Hamzatul Qat. Okay, it is a how do you describe Hamzatul Qat? What would be a good description of Hamzatul Qat? Anyone want to help me out here? What would be? I'm trying to find a good.
Is it in the name like Ala ad-Din? Ala ad-Din. It has.
Try to find a difference between, to try to describe the difference between the two. Let's read. Let's go ahead and write something. So I'm going to write here, and I'm going to say al kitabu, right? Okay, so that's the word there, right? Okay, now I'm going to write, now let's use the word akala. La. Okay, now there's a difference here. Do you see the difference here? Who can see the difference between these two words? Who can see the difference between this word? Okay, make this bigger for you guys. And this word. Have you seen the difference? Who sees the difference? Anyone?
It's the first word is alif lam, and then the second one is like short a.
Yeah, good. Okay, what else? One is alif lam. This alif lam. There's actually no hamza here. You don't see
the akala, it has a hamza on top of the.
Okay, you see the hamza on top of the alif there, right?
Right. So you kind of, when you pronounce it, you kind of put the hamza on the alif, so it's ah.
So it becomes like that, right? So when you say akala, right? Okay. Whereas this one doesn't have the hamza on top of it, right? So al, that's ki ta bu, for example, right? So everybody can read that, right? Now, this is the example of hamzatul wasl. Okay. So the alif here actually has a hamza, but that hamza is not written. Okay, the hamza is not. So for example, when you read it just by itself, you will automatically read it as an al-kitabu, for example, right? Al-kitabu. Whereas this one, the hamza sits on top of the alif. You see that? Okay, sits on top of this. So this is called hamzatul qat. Now, let me explain the difference. The difference is what happens when you add something before the hamzatul wasl. Okay, so for example, if I add the letter wa, okay, to it, like that, okay, and then I add a harakah to it, and I say that, right? Now, what happens here? And you guys know how to read this, right? What happens here?
Alif gets like omitted.
That's right. The alif gets omitted, right? The alif gets ignored, correct? So when the alif gets ignored, just now we were reading al-kitabu, right? But when we add something before it, it becomes wal-kitabu. You know that, right? That's how we read it. So this, it literally has a sukoon on top of it. Okay? This has a sukoon on top of it. And then sometimes you'll see this. Some will actually write a symbol on top of it. Now I'm going to see if I can find it here. I don't find it anywhere. I'm trying to find a symbol that sometimes you find in certain what do you call it? Certain writings. I think it's this one. Let me see. Or maybe not. Let me see if I can find it. No, that's not the one. Yeah, never mind. So there's a little, it's like a little tadpole. If you've seen it before, here's a little tadpole there. I can't find it here. But anyway, so this is example of hamzatul wasl. So hamzatul wasl is ignored when something comes before, and then this one is hamzatul qat. It is not ignored. So even if you put wa before it, for example, when you put wa before it, you still say that ah. Okay, so it becomes wa akala. Okay, whereas this one, you don't say the ah. It's wal kitabu. See the difference there? Okay, all right. Later, you'll find some words with this, with hamzatul wasl and hamzatul qat. So these are the two things that I think you have to be familiar with. Okay, all right. Any other things, any peculiarities that you might have before we go to the noun here? Any other peculiarities in Arabic that I think is worth mentioning? These are some of the peculiarities, things that only in Arabic you find, not in English, not in a lot of languages. I can't do anything else. Anyone else have any thoughts?
I think with harakat there are letters that's equivalent. Like if you say kitab, there is a
Oh, the mud. Okay, good. Yes. Okay. Let me mention that. That's a good idea. Okay, here's one more. Brother Mahfouz mentioned is something that's worth mentioning. It's something called the mud. Okay. And the mud, just a minute. You can just pronounce it as mud. Okay. The mud is when the sound is elongated. Sound is elongated or made longer. Okay. So the different kinds of mud. For example, this one here. See, this one here is ta, right? And then there are certain letters that makes it long. We know that, right? You read Quran, you know that. So for example, wal kitabu. You don't say wal kitabu, you say wal kitabu. So this is a mad to harakat. Okay? Wal kitabu. Okay? To harakat. And then if you and there's some other mad which are longer. Okay? So for example, was-samai, for example, right? So the sama, the ma at the end of a sama is long. Was-samai. Okay? So that's another peculiarity of Arabic language that I think you should be at least know, okay, when you come across these letters or these words. Very good. Thank you, Brother Mahfouz. Okay. All right. Let's finish up with yeah, Brother Al, yeah.
I mean, the sign on that one, the madda sign is not clear there. It's small text.
Yeah. I
if
think
you
you're
can
talking
just...
about the sign which hang on a minute. Let me get the there we go. I'm not listening to you. My microphone. Okay, so the sign here, let me see if I can find it here. So the mud sound, the long sound, or is this what you're talking about, brother? For example, this here.
Yeah, this.
So this is the mud here. See that? See this sign, the symbol? So that's where
right.
Yeah. So that's example of a long mud, right? When you see that little squiggly line, that makes it long when you pronounce it. Very good. Okay, oh yeah, there's one more. Okay, here we go. Okay, so here's the huruf shamsiyah, huruf qamariyah. Okay, so when the noun, so here's what we should. I think that's probably the first thing we'll go straight to the noun now. Okay, so here's the first good lesson about nouns. Okay, so when it comes to nouns, when it comes to isim, okay, there's a particular thing about the isim, and that particular thing is called the article. Okay? It's called the article. What's an article? The article is really the word the in English. So for example, when I say a book, right, I'm not referring to any particular book, correct? But when I say that book or the book, I'm referring to a particular book. So the word the in English is called the article, okay, which defines a specific thing, right? In Arabic, that article is the word al, okay, the word al. So al is called is referred to as the article. They just call it the al in Arabic. Okay. So that's when we have that hamzatul wasl in just now. Remember the hamzatul wasl we talked about just now? Okay. So this, see that? That's an article. And Hamzatul Wasl uses the article and ignores the alif or the hamza before that, right? And so this is literally, when we translate it, it says, and the book, not any book, and the book, right? So this is the wa, which is the huruf, and the al is the article. Yeah, brother.
I think so my Arabic is as rusty as can be, but we call it al-ta'rif, which is like you
That's right.
mentioned, it
Yes.
defines what you're talking about. Al-kitab, that's a
Thank
specific
you.
book.
Yeah. So this is called al-ta'rif. Ta'rif means proper. Okay, ta'rif means proper, like proper noun. Okay, so that makes it a proper noun. In other words, is what this is referring to. Something that's known. Ta'rif means you know this. This is the book that you know of. So one way that you can know whether an what do you call it, a noun is a noun is actually when it has an al before it. So that's the good lesson for today. If there's anything you can remember from this lesson today, is how do you distinguish a noun from any other words, right? And how you distinguish a noun from any other word is to see if it has an al in the beginning. When you see an al in the beginning, that means there's a noun in that letter, in that word. So for example, let's go to the Quran for a minute here. Let's go to, and you guys should know this site really, Search Truth. I use this site very, I introduced it to you last time. Yes. Down here for a minute. So let's go to Al-Fatiha, for example. And oh, you want to do that. Hang on a minute. There we go. Okay. So Al-Fatiha, for example, and let's just pick out a translation here and show the Arabic. Okay. Now, how many of you can see can you tell which one is a noun, which one is not a noun, just by using that principle that we learned just now? Okay, what is the principle? If you see the article in front of the letter, also in front of the word, it's a noun, right? So what's the first one here, or anyone here in the Bismillah, for example?
Is it Brother Nick Ar-Rahman?
Yep. Ar-Rahman
Ar-Rahman.
is definitely a noun, right? So Rahman,
Yeah.
this word is a noun. Why? Because it's got alif lam in front of it.
Mhm.
Okay, there we go. Same thing here, right?
Same thing here, yeah.
Yes. What about this one here?
Alhamd.
Alhamd.
Alhamdu, yep, there's a noun, right?
Mhm.
Alhamdu is a noun. What about this one here?
Al-Alamin.
Yeah, al-alamin, there's a noun. There you go. Okay, so when you see alif lam, alif lam al-ta'rif, they call it, there's a noun. Okay, there you go. So you already know how to recognize a noun from the Quran here. Okay, now here's another thing that is useful. So remember, what's a noun? A noun is how things are named, right? All words denoting a person, place, thing, idea, adjective, the description. So in Arabic, a description is a noun. A description of a verb is a noun. And more things can be, ideas can be nouns, right? So a concept is a noun. An event is a noun. Okay. So let's go into another one. Remember what we said about tanween, right? What's the tanween again?
When we double the
Noon sound.
The
Double.
noon sound, correct. Guess what? When you see a tanween in a word, it's a noun. Right? When you see a tanween in a word, it's a noun. So that's how you know that a word is a noun. Because it's got, for example, kitabun. Right? When you see the tanween, it's a noun. So for example, here in the Quran here, let's take a look see if we can find any what do you call it? What's interesting about Fatiha is that there's no tanweens in the Fatiha. You can't find a tanween. Let's go to Al-Baqarah. And let's see. Okay, let's take a look. Here we go. There's a tanween here. See that? Okay. Hudan, tanween. Okay, it's a noun. Hudan means guidance. Right? Hudan, guidance. That's a noun. It's a concept. It's an idea. Hudan. Okay. All right. What's another one? Let's find another one. There are not that many in it. Oh, here we go. Rishawatun.
Shavaton.
Rishawatun. Okay, it's a noun. Okay, it's a cover. Rishawatun means something that's covering. Okay, rishawatun. What about this? Is somebody you should know. What's that? May Allah protect us from that.
Azab.
Adab, right? Now, Brother Arish, how do you pronounce the adab? Let me hear you pronounce the dal. How do you pronounce it?
Azabu. Rain.
Oh, that might be a problem with the test there. I was testing you just now. How do you pronounce the
Okay.
how do you pronounce the dal? So how do you go? Try it again. See.
Azabu. Azabu.
Ah, there we go. Inshallah.
Yeah.
You know, it's common, right? This is for a lot of people, it is azabu. No, it's not azabu. It's adabun, right?
Yeah,
Adabun.
replace when you instead of saying the, use the English the. Adabun.
Yeah, adabun. So that's how you pronounce adabun. Oh, here's another one. The difficult letter just now. Here's another one. Difficult letter. Okay, who wants to try the difficult letter? Sister Hina. Sister Hina still there? Yeah, Sister Hina. Go try. How do you say this one?
Adimun.
MashaAllah. Azim. Azimun. The, right? Azimun. So both of these, by the way, are nouns, right? Why? Because of the tanween. Okay. Ada means punishment. Okay. What about Azimun? What do you think that is? Azimun means great. Okay. Azimun means great. So why is it a noun again? Why is it an isim? Not a noun. Why is it an isim?
Because it's a quality.
It's a quality. There we go. MashaAllah. Okay. The moment you have a quality, it's an isim. Okay. And it's got a tanween. You can tell it's a tanween. It's a noun. Oh, yeah, it's isim. I keep saying noun. I should say isim, right? It's an isim. Okay. One last one. Let's see if anybody found. Oh, you know what? Remember the mud that Brother Al mentioned? The mud, the long mud. You got the short mud, which is 2 harakat, like this one. Wa minan nasi, right? And then you've got this one. Al-akhirati. Al-akhiri, sorry. Al-akhiri. So that's slightly long, right? Al-akhiri. Okay. Same with this one. Amanna. So you see that little mud there, see? That makes it longer.
Okay.
Okay. Amanna. Yeah, so harakat 1, 2. Movement. Is the movement, yeah. Okay, so Hamzatul Wasl. Anybody can see Hamzatul Wasl in here? How many Hamzatul Wasl can you see in this? There's lots of Hamzatul Wasl. Anybody see it? Just now, that we learned just now. How many Hamzatul Wasl are there in here in this ayat? Who can see it?
Wa minan nasi is the one.
Yes. Wa minan nasi. That's one. Any more? Hamzatul Wasl.
Wa bil yawmil akhiri is the
You missed this one.
Oh, yeah.
Amanna.
Billah. Hamzatul Wasl right there. Right? Hamzatul Wasl. Yeah. And of course, bil yawmil akhir. Yeah. So this alif here, this hamzah here is Hamzatul Wasl. Okay. You don't pronounce it. And this is Hamzatul Wasl also. Right? And that's it. Yeah. So there we go. Now this is Hamzatul Qat. Okay. So it's not Hamzatul Wasl. It's Hamzatul Qat. There's Hamzah there. You don't see it. They don't write it, but they should actually. It's got Hamzah there that's mentioned. Okay. Wa amanna, for example, when you say it. Okay. All right. So let's see. So what did we learn about isim? How many ways can we tell whether a word is an isim? One is it's got an
if there is alif lam at the beginning, and
Yep.
then if there is like tanween at the last.
tanween. Yeah, right. Tanween, for example. If there's tanween at the end, that means it's a noun. Okay. I'm gonna add just one more. This is something we did from previous. When you see a harf before them, when you have a harf, especially harf, it's called harfun jar. We won't go into that right now. But when you have a harf before them, it's also a noun. Okay. So for an isim, I keep saying noun. So for example, this is only for harfun jar though. So harfun jar is, let me give you an example here. So min, okay, is a harf. Yeah, min means from. It's a harf, it means from. So whatever that goes after the min is a noun. You don't see any tanween, you don't see any alif lam, but it's a noun because of the min. Okay, because when you say from, it must be something, right? So from something, of course, that something is an ism. So min rabbi, that means from their Lord, from their God. Okay, so rabbi is the ism. Okay, so let's see if we can find one more. So these are the three ways you can figure out. This one is harf also, B. Okay, B. Now, of course, this one has an alif lam, so you can tell it's an but because of the harf also, the word that comes after that is also an ism. Okay, all right. Last one before we close is I want to go back to Al-Fatiha actually, and introduce you to something that kind of the lesson for tonight, inshallah. Because what I do is I'll try to every lesson, the grammar lesson that we learn, we have some other insight that inshallah we should also take away with us and from the lesson, inshallah. So what I like to talk about is the two nouns in Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Okay. Now, I mentioned that you should have a dictionary, right? So here's how you're going to figure out how to use the dictionary. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing here so that I can show you the dictionary a bit clearer. So here's the dictionary, okay, which I am recommending. It's called the Arabic English Dictionary from Hans Wer. Okay, the way the dictionary works, and the point of this is to be able to, whenever you're learning, inshallah, the point is so that you can find the meanings of the word when you're reading the Quran. And then you add to your vocabulary. So for the lesson today, for example, at the end of the page, put a section there that says vocabulary. Okay, put this, say vocabulary. And then in that vocabulary, add a word that you've learned today. For example, I said huda, hudan, for example, right? So add that word at the end of your page, and it means guidance. Okay, so min, which is a harf, that means from. So every time you learn in this our halakah, always add a word to your vocabulary, to your vocab at the end of the page, so that every time you sit down, you're adding at least 5-6 words to your Arabic knowledge. Okay, all right. Now, so on top of that, you should have this dictionary. Okay, and then what you do when you have the dictionary is you will find the word in the dictionary, and the way to find the word in the dictionary is to find the root letter. That's how you find a word in an Arabic dictionary. You find the root letter. Now, today we're not going to go into details. We're going to do that more next time, inshallah. Okay, well, we'll learn how to actually do that properly. But just today, just to introduce, to get you kind of, hopefully salivating to how to do this, is to look at the word, this word here. Okay, sorry, the word Rahman. Okay, for example, in Bismillah Rahmanir Rahim. What do you think is the root letters in the word Ar-Rahman? Let me just share the screen again, and then I'll kind of guide you through this. So, what do you think is the root letters of this? We know that Alif Lam is not part of the word; it's added, right? We know that by now, right? So that's Alif Lam is not part of the root word for sure, right? Okay, and then we have Ra. We have Ra, we have Ha, and we have Meen. Okay, and here's the tip. Most Arabic words have 3 root letters. That's it. Okay, most Arabic words have 3 root letters. Just write that down somewhere. Okay, all right. Assuming we are using that knowledge, we now can tell that the root letter of this word in Bismillah Rahmanir Rahim is Ra, Ha, and Meen. Okay, all right. So let's find it. So we open up our dictionary. The dictionary starts from left to right because it's an English dictionary. So it's actually supposed to be right from left, right? But it's left to right. And then you will go through the dictionary and you find, of course, from Alif, Ba, Ta, it starts from Alif, Ba, Ta, all the way, and you will find Ra. Okay, so Ra is somewhere in there, and you'll find it. And when you find it, we will be able to see this. Okay, but right there, if you look carefully, there it is. It's Ra, Ha, and Mim. Got it? Okay, and that's how you do it. So, because where did we figure that out? We figured that out because we know that the al is not part of the word, right? And then we figured out that the next three letters is Ra, Ha, and Mim. You go into the dictionary, look for Ra, Ha, and Mim. And sure enough, I find it. Okay. And it says Rahim. Okay? It says Rahim, which means the womb. Okay? The womb, it says. All right. What does Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim have to do with the womb? Because that's what it says in the dictionary. Okay? Rahim means womb. And in fact, we know that, right? When we say Rahim, the word Rahim means womb. Well, actually, it means a lot. This is the insight from the Quran today. That Rahim describes the enormous, the great love that Allah has for us. Okay? And the best way to figure out, to imagine how that love is that Allah has for us is to look at the womb, when the baby is in the womb. Okay? So when the baby is in the womb, the baby is taken care of completely. Nutrition is taken care of. It's safe. It's in the womb, it's between the biggest bones of the body of the human being. Okay? The temperature is taken care of. Atmosphere is taken care of. The baby has nothing to worry about whatsoever. Okay? And that is the rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the description of the rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, just like the baby, we, for example, have no clue how Allah loves us, how much Allah loves us. Okay? So the baby doesn't know that it's been fed. The baby doesn't know it's living in a nice, comfortable place. The baby doesn't realize that, the temperature is, everything is taken care of. The baby doesn't have to worry about anything. Same with us. We have no clue whatsoever how great Allah's love is for us. I mean, just take a look at your eye, for example. Just the eye, just one organ. Forget the other organs for now. Just your eye. How Allah keeps the eye moist. How Allah, literally keeps it soft so that we can see, and how Allah cleans it every day. Now, just the eye, the numerous ways Allah takes care of us. And that is why Allah is Ar-Rahman. Right? Allah is loving and caring. And human beings have no clue how much Allah is loving and caring. So that's why when we look at the dictionary, that means womb, and then it tells us a story. The imagery of the womb gives us the meaning of what, Allah is talking to us about. Now, there's two words here. Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. What's the difference? Where are there two? Because they're same three letters, right? Both of them have the same three letters. Rahman has Ra, Ha, Mim. Rahim has Ra, Ha, and Mim as well. In other words, they both come from the same root word, which is the womb. So what's the difference between Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim? Well, it's a big difference. So Ar-Rahman is extreme love that's immediate. Okay? Extreme love, that's immediate. It's now. We get it now. But it's temporary. In other words, it can be taken away. Okay? So that's the kind of rahmah, care that Allah gives us. Okay? It's immediate. It's really a lot of love, but it's temporary. Whereas Ar-Rahim is not immediate. Okay? We don't. Sometimes we don't even realize it. We don't see it. We don't feel it. It's not immediate. But it's permanent. Okay? It's long-term. It's permanent. It's always there. That's Ar-Rahim. And that's why, for example, right now, many of Mufassir describe Ar-Rahman. Allah is Rahman to everybody. Doesn't matter. Allah is Rahman to Donald Trump. Okay? He is Ar-Rahman to everybody. But he is not Ar-Rahim to people who are not good. Why? Because when Ar-Rahim, when we talk about Rahim, that's more permanent. So when it comes to permanent love and care, Allah does not give. It's not Ar-Rahim to those people. Okay? So the person might appear to be in a good situation, that just because it's something that can be taken away. That's just because Allah is Ar-Rahman. Anyway, so that's the little insight. Hopefully that will be useful, inshallah, for everybody. So when you read Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, just remember that. Okay? Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Rahman, remember all the things that Allah has done to us. In Ar-Rahim, remember all the long-term, permanent things that Allah promises us, which of course is what we wish Allah will give us, just Jannah, Jannah in Adn, inshallah. Allah, we ask for that. As we also ask that the people who are suffering in Gaza get as well from the people who are shuhada. Allah is Rahim to them. It might not be obvious how Allah loves them, but Allah is definitely Ar-Rahim to the people who are dying in Gaza. So that's the kind of the lesson for us, inshallah. All right, last few questions, if anybody has for the... Nope, are we good? All right, Jazakumullah khairan. I hope that it's a good, quick thing, Arabic, and we'll continue, inshallah, next week, inshallah ta'ala. Thank Jazakumullah everybody for attending. Allah, all have a good night.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.